All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. This is Brother Warriala. This is my channel, Rise of Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, who the world will call God, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world will call Jesus Christ. I really don't got much else to really go into, talk about. Um, we'll speak about it after I play this clip real quick.
So that's bad. He should not have released that stuff. Then there's the stuff that we should have known about. This is what I reported on, Glenn, that China has tested it.
Actually, Salakia, let me give the background on this. It says Washington Post reporter Josh Rogan tells Glenn Bach that the Pentagon's leaked documents reveal China's hypersonic glide missiles defeat our aircraft carriers and missile defense system. We spent 30 years building aircraft carriers and defense and the Chinese. Okay, so just to give a background story, if you don't know know what this is talking about, there were Pentagon's documents that were leaked, pretty much show that America was lying about the Ukrainian war, and they were pretty much saying how Russia was losing the war, but in reality, it actually said that for every one Russian that died, 7 Ukrainians were killed. So Russia's been pretty much winning by landslide, and these are the lies that people have been finding out. This also was part of the lies that people found out, that really, China's hypersonic missiles is very difficult to beat, and America's defense system isn't strong enough to defeat it. So let's watch this video.
I don't know if I believe that.
So that's bad. He should not have released that stuff. Then there's the stuff that we should have known about. This is what I reported on, Glenn, that China has tested a new hypersonic missile that can defeat our aircraft carriers and our missile defense. In other words, we spent 30 years building aircraft carriers and missile defense, and the Chinese built a missile for a 100,000th of the price that makes those things obsolete. That seems kind of important for people to know. Why were we hiding that? That was in the documents. I brought that out. I think there's a lot of stuff in the documents that American people should know, because it reveals that the world is changing fast and our government really isn't on top of it.
Correct.
And they need to be.
It does make a difference, because usually I would say, hey, we don't need to release everything that they have, knowing that what they have. But I think there is, you hit it on the head. There is a need for the American people to understand the world is about to dramatically change, and the United States is sitting around with its hands in its pockets.
Right. So maybe we shouldn't build more aircraft carriers, and maybe we should build the stuff that fights hypersonic missiles.
Yes.
Because that's what our enemies are shooting at us, okay?
Correct. And how far do these missiles fly? And they're hypersonic, which I've just heard last week or the week before that we now have one, but I don't know if I believe that. This is a hypersonic, which makes it almost impossible to take down, right?
Right. It's hypersonic, which means it flies faster than sound, but it's also a hypersonic glide, which means you can maneuver it. So when we shoot up the missile defense, all we have to do is maneuver around it. And we can also they can also maneuver it to hit our aircraft carriers, basically as far as Guam. Half the Pacific is now, no entry for our aircraft carriers if they decide to use these things. That's a huge problem for Taiwan, but not just for Taiwan, for the entire South China Sea. They're basically taking over Asia while we're sleeping, okay? And now I'm not saying that we should buy hypersonic missiles to fight hypersonic missiles. I'm saying that we should buy the things or build the things that defend against hypersonic missiles. And so it's complicated, and you have to think ahead of your opponent. But right now they're thinking ahead of us.
Right. So let's get back to the video. Pretty much just going into, man, look, China's coming on their A game, man, and America, a lot of people are saying that America is slacking, right? Because China now has the power to take out America if need be, and America wouldn't even be able to stop it, right? So there's something that you see all throughout the scriptures, right? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 50. So I can show Jeremiah. I'm tripping. There we go. And we can go to verse 9, right? And this is in the Good News translation. I like kind of mixing up translations because I like how it sounds in different translations. So let's read. This is Jeremiah 50:9. It says this: I'm going to stir up. I'll start at verse 8. People of Israel, run away from Babylonia. Leave the country Be the first to leave. Right now, of course, we would look at this as a spiritual leaving. Doesn't mean that every Israelite has to leave America, right? Or Babylon the Great. Verse 9, I'm going to stir up a group of strong nations in the north and make them attack Babylonia. They will line up in battle against the country and conquer it. They are skillful hunters, shooting arrows that never miss the mark. Now, what arrows are these that never miss the mark? These were what you would be called the hypersonic thermonuclear missiles. And this is what's found all through the scriptures and how they express it, right? So let me just grab it in real quick. So I get this one. Let's grab this in Second Ezra. And again, I want to be quick with the video. Second Ezra chapter 16. And we start at verse 12. And it says this. The earth quaketh. Remember what it says? The earth quaketh. Meaning it quakes, an earthquake going on, right? And the foundations thereof. And the sea ariseth up with waves from the deep. And the waves of it are troubled. And the fishes thereof also before the Lord and before the glory of his power. Verse 13. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. It's the same bow that they're speaking about in Jeremiah 50, right? His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss. Meaning a mighty expert man. Look, it's the same thing. Not missing the mark. It's the same arrows, right? When they begin to be shot unto the ends of the worlds. There is no such thing as an actual arrow shooting across the earth, especially an arrow great at making an earthquake by what it does, right? But these arrows are going to be shot at Babylon the Great, right? And these arrows are going to be shot into the ends of the world, of the earth, right? Just like these men we're talking about. These missiles are very hard to even detect, right? So let's get back to it, right? Let's keep reading. The Lord says, people of Babylon, you plundered my nation. You plundered the children of Israel, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? Ye are happy and glad, going about like a cow threshing grain or like a neighing horse, right? But your own great city will be humiliated and disgraced. Babylonia will be the least important nation of all, and it will become a dry and waterless desert. What's going to cause it to be waterless? Let's keep reading. Because of mine anger, no one will live in Babylon. No one will live in Babylon, right? It will be left in ruins, and all who pass by it will be shocked and amazed. Verse 14, here's on the archers again. Line up, archers, line up for battle against Babylon and surround it. Shoot all your arrows at Babylon, because it has sinned against me, the Lord, right? Let's go down to verse 29. And it says this, tell your archers to attack Babylon. The archers again, the people with the bow. Send out everyone who knows how to use the bow and arrow. Surround the city. Don't let anyone escape. Pay it back for all it has done and treat it as it has treated others, because it acted with pride against me, the Holy One of Israel. And it tells you to treat Babylon how it treated others. How did America treat Hiroshima and Nagasaki, both cities? He bombed them. So how are they going to be treated? According to how they treated others, right? They're going to be desolate. No one's going to ever inhabit it again, like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Let's jump down to last verse, just so people understand that these arrows that are being shot is what's making Babylon become desolate, right? And let me just grab this, verse 40. The same thing will happen to Babylon that happened to Sodom and Gomorrah when I destroyed them and their nearby towns. No one will ever live there again. I, the Lord, have spoken it. And this is all coming from arrows, right? Let's read verse 46, right? When Babylon falls, there will be such a noise that the entire earth will shake. This is the earthquake again that's coming from the arrows. These arrows that shot from the ends of the earth, that's what's going to cause this great noise. There will be such a noise that the entire earth will shake, and the cries of alarm will be heard by the other nations. So understand that these arrows are very serious, right? And this is something I just wanted to go over real quick because it kind of caught my attention watching it, looking at everything going on. It 100% caught my attention. but it made me want to look into more what's going on, right, and how this is going to happen. Let's look at this next tab. When Macron met Z, welcome to the new world disorder, and that's exactly what's going on. The world is in complete and utter chaos. It's in complete disorder, right? Let's read, right? China's leader is gathering autocratic regimes to his banner. Europe and the U.S. are divided over how to respond, and the French president just lobbed a grenade into the field of international diplomacy. So, if you don't know about this, the French president of France has made a almost a declaration of independence from the UN or from the EU, and meeting with China, which America has known to be enemies with as of this time right now, right? And this is going to lead to the next one, right? Macron sparks anger by saying Europe should not be a vassal in U.S.-China clash. That makes, let's keep reading actually. Emmanuel Macron has flown into a storm of criticism after he said Europe should not be a vassal and must avoid being drawn into any conflict between the U.S. and China over Taiwan. And this is, and the reason why he says this is because he sees what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. He sees that Russia and Ukraine is literally what could happen with China and Taiwan. Not having the resources that they have from Russia, not having the oil, the gas, them being cold in their homes, right? He says we don't want to be a vassal, right? Let's look at what vassal is. What is a vassal? Right? And it says this: a holder of land by feudal tenure on conditions of homage and allegiance. And pretty much he's saying we don't pay allegiance to America. We're independent. We're our own country, right? Let's keep reading. A person or country in a subordinate position to another. There, he's explaining right now that what happened with Ukraine and us giving all this money to Ukraine is not going to happen with Taiwan. We're not at your every beck and call and doing what you want. And this is going to be the division of the EU, right? Because it's something that everybody notices, that the EU is almost destined to fall apart, but that's found in scripture, right? Let's keep going. The EU's divided approach on China might be coming to an end, and the US is unlikely to be happy about it. Because America is putting a lot of these countries in bad positions, in very, very bad positions, right? And this is when you look at the scripture in Revelation chapter 17 and verse 16, if I'm not mistaken. It says this: the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and the whore will be Babylon the Great, which is America, because she commits fornication with every other nation, spreads her ideology in every other nation, right? And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Remember, this whore is literally Babylon the Great. And how do we know Babylon the Great is gonna be destroyed? By the assembly of great nations that's going to turn against her, right? And let's jump to verse 18 to show you that the whore is Babylon the Great. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And that great city is Babylon the Great, right? And that's pretty much, I don't even got to get too much into it. Let me see. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, right? So this whore is Babylon the Great. So, like I was explaining to you, this is something that seems to be coming to pass. EU seems to be divided on America's approach and how they're leading them, right? And let's go to the next point. Again, I want to finish this quick, right? Majority of Europeans think the EU will fall apart within 20 years. Study finds. And if you just look into it, there's a lot of countries that say it. It found that in every member state except Spain, the majority of voters believe the EU will fall apart within the next 10 to 20 years. So all of Europe isn't really optimistic about their unity with America and really with each other as a whole, as a kingdom, right? So let's go to the next one and let's see why they're going to fall apart, right? Actually, and this is something that we find in the scriptures. Let me just grab it. Let's go to Daniel chapter 2. Something we find in the book of Daniel, right? About that beast, about the fourth kingdom, Slovakia. Right? Daniel chapter 2 and verse 41, right? So 40. And then there will be a fourth kingdom as strong as iron, which shatters and breaks everything. And just as iron shatters everything, it will shatter and crush all the earlier empires. And that's who you would call the Roman Empire, right? The rebirth of the Roman Empire. I pretty much dealing with the 1400s forward, right? You also saw the feet and the toes were partly clay and partly iron. Listen to this. This means that it will be a divided empire. So the countries that were affected by the Renaissance are what you would call the European Union. That's pretty much a rebirth of Rome. That's what Europe is. The Roman philosophy, Roman ideology, Roman architecture, right? And let's keep going, right? It will be a divided empire. It will have something of the strength of iron, meaning they're strong militarily, but there was iron mixed with the clay, right? And what is the clay? The toes, partly iron and partly clay, mean that the empire will be strong and part of it weak. How is it weak? Let's read. You also saw that the iron was mixed with the clay. This means that the rulers of that empire will try to unite their families by intermarriage. I mean, they're going to try to they're going to try to unite one another with each other, right? But they will not be able to any more than iron can mix with clay, right? And at the time of those rulers, the God of heaven will establish his kingdom, a kingdom that will never end. It will never be conquered, but will completely destroy all those empires and then last forever, right? So let's see what does it mean? The issue is that the EU is going to be trying to mix and intermingle themselves with other nations and mix with each other, and that just won't work out for them, right? So let's read, this is just talking about, 20 reasons why the European Union will fall apart. And let's go to the point that it makes in point 12. It says this: the EU was originally designed to function with a small number of similar countries in post-war Western Europe, right? Over expansion and the incorporation of countries with very difficult cultures and economies means that it can no longer work. Let me read that again. Over expansion. That's the issue that was going to happen with the fourth kingdom in Daniel chapter 2. Over expansion was the issue, trying to intermingle itself with other countries. That's what divided, right? And that's also found in the scriptures in regards to what Yahweh Shai says, where he says that if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Right? So this kingdom can't stand because, and it's funny because that's exactly what it's saying. Over expansion and the division of which over expansion can bring with each other is what's going to be the fall of this country, of this empire, right? But I think that's it. I like to give honor and glory to the Most High God Yahweh, name's only begotten Son, Lord, will us edifying video through the Spirit. Korna Shalom.